All right, thanks for watching today's video. Do you remember the first time you ever got cards, or kind of your origin story for being a card collector? Well, I do, and that's what I want to talk about today. I grew up in the 80s, and everything was mass produced. This is nothing new. You guys all know this. There were sets from all different manufacturers, and you started to really have, besides Topps, you started to have Fleer and Donruss, and eventually like Score and Sports Flicks and Upper Deck. And then starting in the early 90s, it just exploded. But about the mid to late 80s, I started to really become an actual collector of cards. And I still remember the first pack I ever got at the end of the 80s. Well, to back up, the first thing I ever had in my collection, a lady actually gave to me. And my dad ran a small town newspaper, a weekly newspaper. Every Wednesday night we would go get it printed. And a lady that worked at the print shop gave me like a Ziploc baggie full of some baseball card stuff and memorabilia. One of the biggest things that initially caught my eye was a 1982 Topps sticker book. You used to be able to buy little packs of stickers and flip through the book and put the stickers in wherever they belonged according to like a number and stuff. Another thing in there was a stack of cards that had a rubber band around them, and they were like 1986 Fleer's Best or Baseball's Best, Slugger cards, Kmart cards, just some more kind of generic sets that weren't like name brand things that you would get in packs. Also, what was in there were some Royals autographed like 3x5 glossies or something like that. They were in their uniform and they were signed, maybe at like a promotional event or something. All this was in a Ziploc baggie, and I used to just go through that. But I wanted to start adding some stuff to my collection, and I noticed that there were packs of cards at local convenience stores. So I grew up just outside of a small town, and we owned 40 acres, and we had a farm essentially, and we had livestock and animals and a barn and hay fields and trees and grass. Needless to say, we had lots of work to do growing up and a big garden, and we would work outside all the time to help our parents out, my siblings and I. And then after we worked all day or a couple hours in, we would take a break and we would hop in our pickup truck and we would drive into town. A lot of times we'd get in the bed of the truck, and my dad would take us in town. There were a few convenience stores in our small town. There was like a Quick Shop, but the Amoco, I remember specifically, we would get like a Gatorade. Gatorade used to come in a glass bottle, and then eventually they put it on like the fountain drinks. And so we would get a Gatorade, and usually like a candy bar or Laffy Taffy or Blow Pop or something like that, and we would put it up on the cash register. One day I noticed, my voice is cracking, sorry about that, happens all the time. One day below the cash register, I noticed a 1988 Topps wax box. And I remember asking my dad, hey, can I get a pack of cards today? And he said, well, you gotta choose either the candy bar or the cards. So I put the candy bar back and I grabbed a pack of 1988 Topps and I put it on the counter with my Gatorade. And then I jumped in the cab of the truck, this time on the way home, and I opened the pack and I put the gum in my mouth and was chewing it, and I was flipping through the cards. And my dad pointed out one of the players in the first pack of cards I ever got. And he said, that guy's really good. You should hold on to that card. And so from then on, that player was my favorite player, and the team that he played for became my favorite team. So I grew up in Kansas, mid-'80s, the Royals were the biggest thing. However, this team was kind of a rival, I guess you could say. And so when I became a fan of that team, everybody just kind of would shrug their shoulders or scratch their head wondering why I was a fan of that team. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to open a couple packs of 1988 Topps, and hopefully I can pull that card. And if I don't, I'm going to show you what the card was that started my whole origin of being a collector. All right, let's do that. Okay, I'm at the card shop. I'm going to come and choose a few packs. 40 cents. 1988. Topps. 2 packs ought to do it. Cross your fingers. I also wanted to show my entry in my Junk Wax journal. And you can remember the last video I had told you about my collecting goals. This video is about my origin story and how I grew up in Kansas. And my first pack was 1988 Topps from the convenience store. So you could see how I went in and did my painting and coloring with watercolors and scribbled. And if you do a journal or like art, I encourage you to, sometimes it's best to do kind of this style where you sketch and go in after you color and you add all these little details, because you could see, obviously I'm not perfect. It's okay to color outside the lines and not be perfect here. But when you kind of layer in those details with the ink pen, kind of adds to the charm a little bit. All right, now let's open some cards. All right, here are the 2 packs, 1988 Topps. We'll see if I can get that card. And I have the other card. I have the actual card sitting over here. So if I don't pull it, I know there's probably well over 700 cards in the set, maybe close to 800 cards in the 88 set. So I guess you could do the math. All right, well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure these weren't repacked because it's 1988 Topps. So they've been stored pretty well because it's not there's no mold or anything. All right, let's get rid of this. This is the first pack I've ever opened up on YouTube. Wow, it's monumental. Dwight Evans, Lon Samuel. There's a Hall of Famer. I'm not gonna read all the names. Goose. Thought that was Nolan Ryan for a second. Sutcliffe, he was a good commentator. All right, my favorite player was not in there. All right, last pack. I'm only gonna do 2 of these because I don't want to bore you with 1988 Topps. Be a superstar, say no to drugs. That's why I never did drugs, because of 1988 Topps baseball. All right, this is it, last chance. Well, this is the team that he played for, and it was not Ricky Henderson, but oh man, back to back. I would have been ecstatic. So I did, I became a Yankees fan. And if you're a kid in the mid 80s, late 80s growing up, you could probably guess who it was. It was Don Mattingly. But I'll show you the card specifically. Will the Thrill and a Mike Schmidt? Are you kidding me? And a Ryan Sandberg. All right, I would have been over the moon as a kid to get those 3 guys. Sadly, I don't see the card because it has a white Kent Hrbek. All right, so I didn't get it. These are actually pretty good hits for hits, you know. All right, so here is the card. It's 1988 Topps Don Mattingly All-Star card. This is not the exact card. It's long gone, probably from a garage sale. But this is it. This is the card that became my favorite card from my first pack. And I still love it to this day. It's worthless, probably 5 cents, maybe. All right, so that's my origin story. What is your origin story, and what card made you become like a Yankees fan in my case, or a Don Mattingly? So please comment below. Also hit the subscribe button. I'll try to include more videos from the Junk Wax era. Thank you. See you next time.